Burnout does not always arrive looking like a crisis. Sometimes it looks like ordinary tiredness that never really goes away. You sleep, but wake up heavy. You take a break, but your mind still feels crowded. You tell yourself you just need a weekend, a quiet evening, or one good night of rest. And for a while that explanation makes sense. Everyone gets tired. Everyone has stressful weeks. Everyone has days when focus is harder than usual. But there is a point where tiredness starts behaving differently. It stops being something you recover from easily. It starts affecting how you think, how you respond, how you make decisions, and how much of yourself you feel able to bring into daily life. That is when many people begin asking the quiet question, is this just tiredness, or is something deeper happening? The first sign is when rest does not make you feel restored. With normal tiredness, rest usually helps. Maybe not perfectly, but enough that you feel some return of energy. You sleep, slow down, take a break, and your system begins to come back. But with burnout, rest can feel strangely incomplete. You may sleep for hours and still wake up mentally tired. You may take a day off and still feel pressure in the background. You may sit on the couch doing nothing and still feel like your mind is running. That happens because burnout is not only physical fatigue, it often includes emotional and cognitive overload. Your body may be still, but your brain may still be tracking. Unfinished tasks, conversations, responsibilities, guilt and pressure. So even when you are technically resting, part of your system is still working. That is why you can pause and still not feel recovered. The second sign is when simple tasks begin to feel heavier than they should. Answering one message should not feel like climbing a hill. Washing a few dishes should not feel like a major project. Opening an email should not require emotional preparation. But during burnout, small tasks can start to feel strangely large. You may stare at something basic and feel resistance before you even begin. You may avoid a simple errand, delay a phone call, or leave a small mess untouched because starting feels like too much. And then shame appears. You think, why can't I just do this? But the task is not always the real problem. The task may be small, but the mental state receiving it is already overloaded. A message may carry someone's expectations. A bill may carry financial worry. A chore may remind you how far behind you feel. A work task may connect to a whole system of pressure you do not want to face. So the visible action looks simple, but the invisible weight behind it is not. The third sign is when your focus and memory start feeling unreliable. This can be one of the most unsettling parts of burnout because it makes people question themselves. You forget why you walked into a room. You reread the same sentence several times. You lose your train of thought during conversations. You struggle to remember small details that would normally feel easy. It can feel like your brain is slower than it used to be, but burnout can affect attention before it affects memory. If your attention is scattered, overloaded, or constantly interrupted, your brain may not clearly record information in the first place. Then later, when you try to remember it, there is not much to retrieve. This is why brain fog during burnout can feel so confusing. You may still be intelligent. You may still care. You may still be trying hard. But your mind feels less available. It is not always a sign that something is wrong with who you are. Sometimes it is a sign that your mental system has been carrying too much for too long. The fourth sign is when small decisions feel emotionally heavy. During normal tiredness, you may not want to make complicated decisions, but during burnout, even ordinary choices can start to feel draining. What should I eat? What should I answer first? Should I go out or stay home? Should I start with this task or that one? Should I say yes, say no, explain myself, or stay quiet? The decision itself may be small, but the pressure around it feels big. Burnout makes choices harder because decisions require energy. Your brain has to compare options, predict outcomes, tolerate uncertainty, and accept that no choice will be perfect. When you are already mentally depleted, that process becomes expensive. So you delay, you freeze, you ask for more time, you avoid choosing until the choice becomes more stressful than it was at the beginning. And again, you may blame yourself. But the real issue is not that you cannot make decisions. It may be that your brain is trying to make them from a place of overload instead of clarity. The fifth sign is when you start feeling disconnected from yourself and your life. This one can be harder to explain. You may still show up, you may still answer people, you may still go to work, take care of responsibilities, and keep things moving. From the outside, you may look functional, but inside, you feel distant. You are doing life, but not fully feeling it. You laugh, but it feels delayed. You talk, but part of you feels far away. You complete tasks, but they do not give you the same sense of satisfaction. You may even look at things you used to enjoy and feel almost nothing. That kind of disconnection can be frightening because it does not always look like sadness. Sometimes it looks like numbness. Sometimes it looks like going through the motions. It is often the mind's way of protecting itself when emotional demand has been too high for too long. When everything requires energy, the system starts conserving. It reduces intensity. It pulls back. It stops investing deeply in every moment because it is trying to survive the load. The real issue isn't that you suddenly stopped caring. It's that caring may have started to cost more energy than your system had available. That changes how you respond. Instead of asking, "What is wrong with me?" you can begin asking, "What has my mind been carrying without enough recovery?" Instead of treating every symptom as a personal flaw, you can see the pattern. Rest does not restore you. Simple tasks feel heavy. Focus and memory feel unreliable. Decisions feel harder. Life starts to feel distant. One of these signs alone does not define your whole experience. But when several of them appear together, it may be worth paying attention. This is not about labeling yourself or panicking, and it is not a replacement for professional support if your symptoms feel severe, sudden, or disruptive. It is about understanding that burnout is often more than being tired. Tiredness usually asks for rest. Burnout often asks for a different structure, fewer open loops, clearer boundaries, less constant pressure, more real recovery, more support around focus, memory, and daily mental clarity. A calmer way to move through life without turning every task, choice, and feeling into another performance. Because sometimes the body is tired, but sometimes the whole system is overloaded, and when that happens, pushing harder may not be the answer. The answer may begin with noticing the signs, honestly, without shame. If you want to explore this more, there's a structured breakdown linked in the description with practical ways to support focus, memory, and daily mental clarity. And if this helped you understand your exhaustion differently, subscribe for more calm, practical videos about burnout, stress, and the mind.